If you are looking to climb the ranks and crush in your games, Widowmaker is the top hero to master. In our Game Leap guides, you will learn the best ways to use Widowmaker as well as other tips and tricks. To fully master Widowmaker, make sure to sign up at GameLeap.com at the end of the video. Let's dive in. Even a mediocre or decent Widowmaker, doesn't have to be the best, can outplay and do better than a much higher rank and someone that's played probably even hundreds of hours on Widowmaker. And the difference between a good Widowmaker beating a really amazing Widowmaker is simply the positioning. I think it's really a strategy game. You know what corner, you know where they're going to be, and I think what it comes down to, instead of moving your cursor to the enemy, it's more about letting the enemy walk into your cursor. And I guess maybe that's a little difficult to cover it. In this video, I'm going to go over mostly about the gameplay and what I'm going to be doing in order to get the kills. So as you can see, when you're playing offense Widowmaker specifically, what you want to do is you want to wait for your team to engage first. If you try and go in too early and there's nobody going in, then the enemy team is going to just have 6 people who are going to aim at you and apply pressure to you and damage to you, and it's very difficult in that situation to apply any pressure. So even as Widowmaker, if you're not getting kills, you can still do body shots and you can still apply pressure, not necessarily get the picks with the headshots, but that's still getting value out of Widowmaker if you're able to do that. And the best way to do that is to wait for your team to get aggressive and to go onto the point, or maybe wait for them to dive. In this situation, I think we have a Roadhog Diva tank combo. So as I was saying earlier, you want to wait for your team to get on the point, and at this point, you'll notice that the enemy team is going to be distracted. I mean, I do this flank, and immediately what do we see? We see an Ashe and we see a Hanzo, and they're both not even looking at me, right? They're looking at the point, and that's exactly what you want to do. So this gives you a really perfect time where you're able to get a headshot or decent aiming. Like, you can just kind of be a bit more patient and go for the headshot and wait for the movements to really line up with your crosshair. Like I said earlier, you can wait for the enemy to move into your crosshair instead of you moving the crosshair into them, which is a very common thing, a very common tactic that really helps you get the pick and secure the kill, but it's not something that you could do if you don't have time. For example, if you have plenty of time, you can play very patiently and wait for the enemy team to move into your crosshair. And that's something that's really easy to do in comparison to moving the crosshair towards them. And that's more of a general aiming tip with Widowmaker. And I think what you want to do is you want to be very patient with Widowmaker in your shots, because sometimes if you panic, it will make you play a little bit worse and your shots won't really apply any value. So one thing that I want to talk about is Widowmaker positioning here on Numbani. There's a lot of different areas that you can go. So right here we have this street. This street is ours. So the second point, there's a lot of areas around here. There's like the corner, this area, and then there's this corner. So there's like a little 90-degree angle. So you could go up here, and this is a very good spot where you're able to get a whole lot of line of sight on anybody up here. That's probably the best area to be if you're looking to be hitting people while they're over here. You could alternatively try to go on these platforms up here, but usually there's going to be somebody up there, and if the enemy team is running a Winston, they can jump up here very easily. And also, because the payload is still behind us, I would say that it's not the best idea to go up there. So going up here is definitely the right move, and as you can see, I'm going to put the Venom Mine right there on the bus, and it gets triggered, and it's a really easy way to just kind of increase the DPS output, just putting it around corners. And being able to apply damage with Widowmaker is good, even if you're not getting picks. If you're just doing body shots or something like that, then you're applying pressure to the enemy, and that's making them go, oh man, I can't stand here. I have to move. If I stay here any longer, then I'm going to die to either the enemy team or the Widowmaker who is aiming at me. And that's something that you need to take in mind. It's a lot of pressure. And even if you don't get the kills with Widowmaker, I think it's okay, as long as you're able to keep applying that pressure, and basically in a way you're kind of zoning the enemy, because if you stay in one area, you're basically saying, hey, I'm here, there's nothing you can do, and if you try to go forward, you overextend or something like that, then I can punish them extremely easily. So here's one thing to take note. Infrared usage is extremely powerful around corners. For example, I let the Zenyatta, and I don't, if I could slow this down, I would. Basically what I'm doing is, with infrared, is I put my cursor, because I know the enemy is going to come around this corner. You can tell, right? This Zenyatta is clearly right-clicking. You can tell from his animation, the way the orbs are spinning, and the way his hands are, like, kind of, like, I don't know how to describe it, but the way his hands are, and the way that his balls are, like, moving around him, you know that he's looking to do a right-click, which means he's gonna peek one of these corners, and he's gonna try to shoot it probably this way. And because I have infrared, I don't need to try and move my cursor. I just put my cursor exactly where his head is going to be, and I shoot when that happens. And that's exactly what I'm doing. See right there? It's exactly what I do. And that's all you really need to do to get a kill, especially with infrared. I think more often than not, most often, you want to just be patient with Widowmaker. See, I didn't get the kill with all the Ana right there. She didn't peek. But it's worth just waiting for it. I mean, look at the situation. What else could I have been doing in that situation? I could have been shooting at a Reinhardt shield, which would have had 0 value. Widowmaker does not shoot shields. That's not what she's good at. She could do it if she has downtime, but in that instance, it'd be much better for me to just sit there and wait for the Ana to peek so I can, you know, blow her head off as soon as she appears. So that's something that you want to do. You want to be very patient with Widowmaker. You can't be too aggressive. You can do some crazy flanks sometimes, and you can maybe get a lot of value out of that, but I think more often you're going to benefit a lot more if you just play a bit more patiently and try to go for those headshots and let the enemy come to you and to your crosshair, rather than letting, unless you have really good aim. I mean, if you're like Overwatch League Pro, then you want to take that aim and you want to be as aggressive with it as possible. I mean, grapple hook into the air, do 360 spins, look for those faces and go for those shots. But I play Widowmaker very, very patiently, and I get rewarded with that patience most often than I think I get rewarded with it, and that's how I play Widowmaker. That's how I get my success. One of the things I'd like to note right there is your grapple hook. We haven't talked about the grapple hook yet. So obviously you can use the grapple hook to get onto high ground, and that's a really good use of it. And being able to, you know, get up to a place where enemies can't reach you. For example, a Reaper isn't going to be able to reach me very easily, and if he does, I might not be able to get away. It depends, but either way, the Reaper is going to have a long time to travel to me, or he has to use his teleport, which is a dead giveaway for me to just headshot him, which is really easy to take care of a Reaper, if he's teleporting, obviously. But one of the things you can do with your grapple hook is you want to use it mostly to escape. You can use it... Wow, I'm just missing every shot on this Ana, huh? Ana is a hard person to hit sometimes. Yeah, that's embarrassing. But I think for the most part, I play Widowmaker pretty well, but I do miss some headshots here. See, as you can tell, the Ashe was also playing very patiently. I think playing patiently can work out for you, but you gotta make sure that you can land that headshot. But, you know, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get out-sniped by a Widowmaker or an Ashe or something. You just have to make sure you remain calm, and even if you die once or twice because of an outplay in a Widow 1v1, don't just swap off Widowmaker immediately. You still have the potential to come back and kill her, because the Widowmaker is going to be distracted by the action that is happening, and she'll be shooting at people below. So as soon as you respawn and you come in and you grapple, you'll be able to look at a Widowmaker who's probably scoped in looking at the point, and you can just headshot her immediately. That happens a lot. If there's a Widowmaker 1v1 potential, then you can pretty much, even if you die, you just come back and be like, alright, I'm gonna just find this Widowmaker first, kill her, and then you can continue on with your day, because she'll be distracted trying to shoot like tanks or something else, because there's not much DPS heroes if you're dead. So one of the things that you want to do is, with your grapple hook, as I was saying before, is you want to be able to use it as your disengage ability. You don't have to necessarily, like right that instance, it wasn't, I got hit by something. I'm at like 200 health. I think I get hit by Ashe, and in that instance, I just immediately grapple hook and try to go away and just move to a different position. Even though I'm not really like healed up or anything, I'm gonna just try and get out of line of sight, and that's something you should try to do. Obviously, if an enemy tries to dive you, you want to get out of there with your grapple hook. If you get hit with anything, you want to move your grapple. You can maybe power through some of the damage. If you're taking some small chip damage from something, then you can power through it and you can try to headshot them, and sometimes you can get rewarded with that. But it is rather difficult, because when you get hit with something, there will be some light recoil. There's definitely going to be a little bit of light recoil that's going to make your aiming a little bit more difficult, but it is possible to kill people through getting hit. Like, for example, if a Soldier 76 is hitting you with a lot of chip damage, you can easily kill him as long as you can time it perfectly and you be a little bit more patient with it. Headshotting is something you want to always try and have a priority on, but if you're not able to do it, then body shotting is okay. But if you're not going for the headshots as Widowmaker, then you probably shouldn't be playing Widowmaker. I mean, you are playing a sniper with one-shot potential on headshots, and that's exactly what you should be going for. I think you'll have a much better time going Soldier, McCree, or Ash. If you're trying to go for body shots, you'll do a lot more damage and a lot more consistent damage that way, because Widowmaker is not that kind of character. Widowmaker can do a lot of burst damage, and that's what you're trying to go for. Body shotting the tanks is the one thing that I think is okay and acceptable, but other than that, you should be trying to go for headshots as much as possible, and you want to play it patiently around corners. So as we can see at the beginning of this fight, we're trying to do damage to the Reinhardt. I'm shooting at the shield, which is just really not getting any value, but as soon as the Reinhardt shield breaks, it's a perfect time to try and do damage. So obviously the Reinhardt is dead in this situation. So we have a 6v5 advantage. We are able to push forward, and they're going to have to slowly back away because they just don't have their Reinhardt. So I'm going to go ahead and pop Infrared, and I'm going to go and look for their supports. And so using your grapple hook in this situation is really good. You get to the action a little bit sooner, and you get the line of sight of everything here. And what you want to be going for 100% of the time is a Zenyatta. Zenyatta is extremely easy to headshot. It really isn't. It's so easy. I don't even know how to describe it. Zenyatta is, his hitbox is the easiest thing in the world to hit. After that, of course, you want to go for supports and squishy heroes first. That is your priority. Being able to be patient enough to try and go for these kills where you deny them positioning. Like, if I'm sitting here, I think this is a really good line of sight because I saw the Zenyatta somewhere back here. And basically what I'm doing is I killed the Zenyatta once, and now I'm just going to wait for the Zenyatta a second time. And if any of the Ana or Ash who is over here, if I'm able to get a headshot on them, that's just an added bonus. But my ideal goal here is to wait for the Zen. I missed a shot, so I should be moving to a different position here now. Yeah, as soon as you miss the shot, then you should probably move to a different position and try a different target. So I get solo grabbed? Was I solo grabbed there? That's rather unfortunate. There's not really anything I can do about getting solo grabbed. I could have gotten out of the position. Yeah, I guess I did get solo grabbed. One of the things that I screw up here is I missed this headshot. Wow, how did I miss that headshot on the Zarya? Man, I just flick it a little too much. But then I'm able to finish it up with the second headshot. But I should have gotten it with the first one because she was stuck in a trap there. So unfortunately, we weren't able to get the point all the way. But I think we played that very well. So some things you need to take away from Widowmaker is to use your poison mines to try and cover the flank routes to make sure people don't sneak up on you. Because while you're sitting there and you're zoomed in, it's going to be rather, you'll be distracted. So you want to make sure that the Venom Mine is protecting you from any flanks. Make sure you use your grapple hook to not only get on high ground, but to use it to escape from anybody. Use it as a mobility move. Think of your grapple hook as an ability to get away from the enemy Winston when he dives on you, or the Diva. Don't sit there and try to SMG them. That's not going to work. That's not going to do anything. I mean, you can do it as you're running away, but typically you want to try and just get away and do damage after that fact. Use your grapple first, then start shooting bullets. Don't worry about trying to shoot them through the damage unless they're like 1 HP or something, right? In that instance, then yeah, okay. Other than that, infrared usage, you want to use it when you're going to benefit from it. Yeah, infrared can be used when you're not there, and maybe it'll help your team in an overtime situation, but more often than anything, it's going to be better for you to use it at the beginning of a fight when enemy team is about to go around corners on a certain map, and you're able to really apply pressure by getting those headshots very easily around corners with it. It's something that you need to work on with infrared usage, and you'll definitely get a feel of it. You don't want to pop infrared like any other ultimate. It's not a DPS ultimate. It's an information ultimate that has a lot of value for your team when you use it properly. But you need to make sure that you're using it at the right time. If you're using it at a time when you're not actually able to scope in and shoot at people, then you're not getting value out of your zoom in or of your infrared. You want to use infrared when you're set up in a perfect position when you can wait for the enemy team to come to you. If you're using it to get information, that's okay, but that's not the best value, and it's more of your team using it than you. You want to make sure that you're able to shoot people when you use infrared. You want to make sure that you're set up, you're going to be able to right-click at people and basically commit to a kill, which is exactly what I do in this infrared. It allows me to know where everybody is, and we're able to tell that the Reinhardt's separated, the Ana's separated, the Soldier's separated, the whole team is separated. And infrared gives you that information, and you're able to abuse it to the point where you're able to just get those picks. Because what Widowmaker's strength is not only is really high burst damage, but her pick potential to turn a 6v6 into a 5v6. And that's basically your job. As long as you turn the fight into a 5v6, that's you doing your job, and that's applying enough pressure to the enemy team to deny them. It's area denial at the same time as well. Because not only are you going to turn picks into team wipes, you're also going to make the enemy team feel like they can't go to certain locations. They're going to feel like, oh man, I can't go here, there's a Widowmaker, and you're going to deny them a lot of area. And that's another thing that Widowmaker does then, and you really need to make sure that you can do that and stay alive. You don't want to be too aggressive with the Widowmaker because it's very easy for Genji and Winston and D.Va to dive you. In this instance, the enemy team isn't doing that because they have a Reinhardt. But if the enemy team was running a more dive comp, you have to play very cautiously, very safe when playing Widowmaker, which is something you really need to concentrate on. So those are the things for offense that really I want to cover, and I think in summary, things to take away from, use your Venom Mines on flank routes, use your Venom Mines around corners, use your infrared when you yourself are able to benefit the most from it, not just when you're, in spawn or away from the action. Make sure that you're zoomed in and you have 100% on your scope and you're ready to shoot when you use that infrared. And also make sure to always keep your grapple hook. If you are going for a flank or a very aggressive play, make sure to have your grapple hook ready to go, because your grapple hook is going to be not only your tool to get on the high ground, it's also going to be your escape ability as well. So make sure to keep your hook or your grapple ready to go. Another good use of your grapple hook, if you're really good at Widowmaker, and something you can do, is you can grapple on random pieces of high ground and try to get an air shot, which can work some of the time. You can just fly into the air with the grapple, try to get a 360 headshot on somebody, and that's a great way to get a kill, and you can do that every time you have your grapple hook. But that's mainly something I would do on defense. I think that's something you get a bit more value out of on defense. On offense, maybe you can get away with it, but the enemy team is probably going to be set up to the point where they can punish you with it. But you really have to take just what the enemy team comp is into consideration. You got to think about what the enemy team is running, if that's going to have value. Is it worth the headshot potential on yourself to do that kind of play? And also, you need to have a good bit of mechanical skill in order to practice. So the last thing I want to say about Widowmaker as well, the last piece of advice, is to make sure that you play on a lower sensitivity. I think having a lower sensitivity will really help you with your accuracy, and you can aim a lot better with that. And that's something that I run. My sensitivity is at 4.5, 4.75, and sometimes 5, and I kind of go around there, and that's really what I focus on. And I believe my DPI is at 800. And one other big thing to take note of is you want a really big mouse pad, and you want to aim not with your wrist, but with your whole arm, basically. And because the sensitivity is really low, you're going to have no problem with that whatsoever. So those are my general tips for Widowmaker on offense. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Widowmaker is one of the best solo carry heroes you will need to master in order to climb ranked. This top 500 player guide is just one of many that will teach you how to master Widowmaker. At GameLeap.com, you can find all kinds of up-to-date guides and courses for all heroes created by the highest ranked players and coaches. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, make sure to check out GameLeap.com.